Hello and welcome to Intermission at Folk Night at the Registry. I'm Jan Vanderhorst, and now we get to spend a few minutes with tonight's performer, Tom Chapin. Welcome to Folk Night, Tom.
Thanks so much, Jan. Lovely to see you. Last time I saw you was in a different coast.
Different coast, yes, the East Coast. Let's talk about your music. You've been doing this for about 5 decades now. Your 2022 album was called Hold Your Ground. Tell me about what you wanted to accomplish with the songs and the thrust of that album.
Well, every album is a leap of faith these days. You know, you don't know who's going to get it, who can play it. Mm-hmm. But it's what we do, and it started out with a collection of songs. And I had the way I'm recording albums these days is with my wonderful piano player has John Cobert has a recording thing in his basement, mm-hmm. and a really good one. So I bring songs over to him and we start them and then see where it goes. And I've been a collaborator my whole life. We started as the Chapin brothers, mm-hmm. with Harry and Steve, and my writing has been really that's the most delight. I've obviously written the songs by myself, but the great delight is sitting with somebody at a table and seeing where it fires and where it goes. And so these are songs that I had, and some that I actually wrote for the album. Mm-hmm. There was no, this album was going to say this, or yeah. It's song to song. There are a couple early on that are about the performing, mm-hmm. And some are political. There's a wonderful, the title track, Hold Our Ground Forever with Cy Khan, is really about, in the midst of COVID and the craziness in my country of the politics. What do you do? Right. And Cy started this wonderful lyric, and I just followed that. But there's also a couple of songs that had been on other albums that are out of print now, and I thought, boy, this song needs to be sung now. One, Broadside, right, with John Forster, and Sing Me the Story of Your Day, which is a wonderful kind of an adult talking to a child, mm-hmm. and but not a toddler, but a child. You know, you're coming back from school. I talked to my granddaughters, who are both 8, and they're cousins, my Abigail and Lily's little girls, Elspeth and Willa. You say, "How was your school?" "Oh, it was okay." You know, yeah. Okay.
Typical.
Yeah, no, not too much. And you talk a little bit, and then all of a sudden they tell you a story about that, and which is what you want to hear. You want to hear the story. Yeah.
And you've done just about as many albums aimed at kids as adults. Albums like The Incredible Flexible You and Give Peas a Chance. Is that where you get your inspiration from your grandchildren to write these songs? Or is that just a side of you that you let come out?
It ended up, it's not really. It's not as if they did something. Occasionally that's the way it happens. I mean, if we did a song called You're Not the Boss of My Brain, and that's something that my friend John Forster's kid said to him. You know, they were having an argument. Well, you're not the boss of my. Oh, that's cool. If you wrote a song.
Let me write that.
But mostly it's about just being a family man. Yeah. I was in a big family, and I had grandparents and parents and a lot of cousins and stuff. And so it comes, and the people I write with, John Forster and Michael Mark and John Cobert and Phil Galston, all understand that as well. And so in a sense, that's where they come from more than, but my wife Bonnie, the little girl down the street, said, there's a really shy little girl, and we came up with a song about that. You know, mm-hmm. She said, and so occasionally that happens. There's a line that you say, oh, we got to write a song about that. Right. But mostly it's thinking, two of us talking, what's this album about?
Right.
You know, but the idea has always been make them responsible in some fashion, but joyful. So it's the idea is to be delightful for us, but clear enough for kids. Mm-hmm. Songs that are kid friendly, adult safe. Right. You know? And that's been really the watchword for the success of the albums has been that parents tell me this is the highest praise. Yours are the tapes we take on long car trips.
All right.
And we play them 6 times on the way to Syracuse.
Now, besides your career in music, you've also been had a career in activism. You're on the board of directors of Why Hunger, which used to be called World Hunger Year. Was that kind of community involvement something your parents instilled in you and your brothers?
Yes and no. They were not particularly politically active. Mm-hmm. Certainly, though, we come from a left-wing family, an artistic family. Mm-hmm. And the hunger stuff, of course, started with Harry, mm-hmm. who got really involved with and started Why Hunger. It's been going since in 1975. And so the second year, he said, we're getting really serious about this, and we've realized we need an organization. So you want to be on the board? And I said, I don't know, do I? He says, yes, you do. so I've been on the board as long as I can. There's sometimes you have to be off for a year, but mm-hmm. it's been over 40 years I've been involved with it. And it's among the proudest things I do. The world can feed itself. Mm-hmm. And the USA can feed itself 12 times over, and yet there are millions of people hungry. Millions of those are children. Mm-hmm. Something like, and during COVID, it just skyrocketed. And so that's something we try to do, put hungry people in touch with food and help them towards self-reliance. And so every time I go to the board meetings and I'm involved with them, I go, oof, this is the good work, Mm-hmm. And I remember Pete Seeger being asked when we were there, Harry and I, when our first concert I did with Pete, it was a benefit for Why Hunger, mm-hmm. then World Hunger Year. And this student from a high school asked Pete Seeger, what? You've done this, all these concerts for things you believed in. Has it ever made a difference? And Pete says, I don't know. But I met the good people with live hearts, live eyes, live minds. And Harry and I both went, whoa. It's the perfect answer, a perfect Pete Seeger answer, which is, it's not me helping them. They've helped me.
Right.
And in the course of it, we'll look where I've, And so, and that's really the way I feel about it too.
Just to wrap things up, you and tomorrow's performer, Mark Rust, have something in common, and that's being involved in the musical Pump Boys and Vionettes.
I'd forgotten that.
You were on
Yes.
Broadway, and Mark was part of the national touring company.
Yeah, that was great fun, And I've just got in touch with Gary, who I forgot his last name, who was the bass player. He got in touch with me through another person. Mm-hmm. And Gary says, hi. When you're in a show like that, it's like a little family. Yep. And then all of a sudden the family breaks up and you go in, and years later these little shards show up. And I'd forgotten that Mark was in it. I love doing that. It was really learned a lot. You're doing 8 shows a week, mm-hmm. same thing. How do you make it different? How do you make it strong? And how do you do it? And that was a great learning experience for me. And I was very proud. I actually left the show about a month before it closed, and they asked me to come back and close the show, which I thought was that little family said, Tom, we want you back, which was really lovely.
Right. Well, now we have to close the interview. So thank you so much for your time. And it's now time for the second half of tonight's concert.